My name is Richard Morton. I'm the General Manager for Music City Mall, Lewisville. And we are so pleased to have the candidates here, and we're so pleased to have the citizens here. I am a citizen of Lewisville, a new citizen of Lewisville, and I love it. So we need great leaders for this community, and I think you've got some up here. I do want to thank the candidates for putting themselves out there. They are willing to serve Lewisville, and they do it because they love Lewisville. So, candidates, thank you very much, and welcome to Music City Mall, Lewisville.
Thank you very much. Welcome to our City of Lewisville Mayoral and City Council Candidate Forum. I'm Steve Southwell, and I'm the publisher of the Lewisville Texan Journal. This is my 11th year to cover city elections. I love this. It's kind of how I got started, and we hope to do a good job on it this year, as we have in the past. I love this city. I want to thank Mr. Morton and Music City Mall so much for hosting this forum. I want to thank Audra Smolinski, Audra down there. She did the legwork on this and got all this together, so much thanks. Organizer extraordinaire. And Audra is also one of the moderators on the City of Lewisville Facebook group, and she keeps that in order, and she arranges all the City of Lewisville meetups, and she's just an awesome person. So if you ever need to buy or sell a house, you might want to talk to her. I want to thank all of the candidates for attending. I think we had 6 RSVPs, and we have 4 of you here. So maybe we'll get to more questions than I anticipated. So we'll see. I want to thank the audience just for caring enough to be here. It's great that you're here. You guys are voters, and you care, and that means a lot. So I appreciate that. A couple of other shout-outs. We have some other elected officials here. If you're an elected official, let me see your hands. I think I see a few. There's TJ Gilmore, City Council, Ronni for Lewisville ISD School Board, and I see Bobby Mitchell down there, our County Commissioner. Thank you for coming. I understand we've got other candidates for other elected offices that, and Brandon Jones is down there hiding. I didn't see your hand. I'm sorry. Brandon Jones on City Council. Other candidates, I think I see David Hernandez there running for school board. Mr. Curbo running for Justice of the Peace. Who else? Okay. At any rate, these folks may be around after the forum if you want to talk to them. Let's see, what else here? Oh, I'm told I should tell you to turn off your cell phone so we don't disturb everybody. Hopefully mine's off. Let's see here. I'm also supposed to give a shout out to Christy G's Cupcakes and Coffee. So you guys head over there if you want a refreshment. All right. That said, the purpose of tonight's event is to get to know these candidates. And I think that takes a little more than yes or no answers and quick brief, do you support it or are you against it, okay? So tonight we may not ask questions about each and every subject that's important to this city, but what I am going to do is give these guys a little more time than normal. They're each going to have 2 minutes to answer these questions. And the timekeeper has given me the hurry it along. Okay, so that's the purpose. We're going to, let's see here. All right, so Mayor and City Council in Lewisville. For those of you that don't know, I think most of you know, Lewisville has a 5-member city council plus a mayor. That's 6 people. They don't get paid very much, maybe about $100 a month, and that's not even minimum wage for all the work that they do. So it's a great thing that they step up and volunteer. So everybody that puts their name on the ballot, that's a good thing. So we appreciate that. They serve 3-year terms, and every year we have either 2 council members or a council member and a mayor. This year it's council place 2 and mayor are the positions up for grabs. So with that, let me tell you about the format of tonight's event. We're going to have a brief moment for the candidates to introduce themselves. They're each going to have a couple of minutes to tell you who they are. what position they're running for, and just whatever they want to tell you. We're going to give them 2 minutes for that. Then we're going to start asking questions, and these will be very open-ended questions about general topics, and they can just tell us kind of what they think about it. So we'll go round robin. We'll start off on the first question. We'll start with the mayor here, and we'll work our way down. Each round of questioning, we'll work, one place down that everybody's got a chance to be the first to answer and the last to answer. So let's see here. We've got a microphone at each table, and the candidates will just share that. And let's see here. Okay, on each of those questions, they'll get 2 minutes. Our timekeeper, Jennifer, is down here, and she will hold up a sign that says 30 seconds when you've got 30 seconds remaining, and flip that over, and when your 2 minutes are up, she's going to show the stop sign, and at that point, I'm going to stop you at your next sentence. So let's respect everybody's time, and we'll get through as many of these questions as we can. Alrighty. After we do the questions, each candidate will have a minute to kind of wrap it up and tell us, your closing arguments or whatever it is you would like to have the audience know. All right, that's enough of that, enough of me. Let's get this started. I'm going to hand this over. We will start off with the candidate introductions. Mayor Rudy Durham.
Thank you. TJ, can you hear me? Okay. My name is Rudy Durham. I'm running for mayor of the city of Lewisville. I want to thank the mall for having us here, and to thank all the people in the audience. Is that better? Okay, good. And thank the audience for being in attendance. I've lived in Lewisville for 60 plus years. I graduated from Lewisville High School. I have a BBA in real estate from North Texas State University. Professionally, I am the chief appraiser of the Denver Central Appraisal District, and I'm a licensed real estate broker in Texas. For the city government, I've been serving, I started serving on numerous boards and commissions, including the Planning and Zoning Commission in 1989. In 1994, I decided to run for and was elected to the Lewisville City Council. I stayed on that until I was elected mayor in 2015. I also represent the city of Lewisville on the Regional Transportation Council, the Dallas Regional Mobility Coalition, and in both cases, both the groups deal with transportation issues for North Texas. I want to continue working on the Lewisville 2025 Vision Plan by expanding the green, working with neighborhoods, and to keep pushing for economic development. I am asking to be re-elected Lewisville mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Rudy. Next we'll have Winston Edmondson.
All right, I want to thank you guys all for coming. I always thought that the mall would be a great spot for kind of a community gathering. And so I want to thank Richard, Gabby, and Sandra for making this possible and being a partner to the community. And they've actually said that in the future, other town hall meetings we're going to have here as well. My name is Winston Edmondson. I'm running for mayor. And my goal tonight is to tell you a little bit about the role of the mayor. I want you to know kind of what the benchmark is. How can the mayor get a check in the box of this is a job, you've done the job as described, and then I want to tell you what the mayor can do to take it to the next level. What can a mayor do to go above and beyond to be the face of the city? That's my goal tonight, because really, it doesn't take much to be the mayor as described. You have to preside over the city council meetings. You have to come to public appearances like this, but with a little bit more effort, with a little bit more willingness, with a little bit more making yourself accessible to the people, you can take things a little bit further. So what I want you to do tonight is to imagine in your mind, what are the qualities of a great mayor? And as you think about that and you hear what we propose, I hope you'll measure us by the specific things that we're going to talk to you about tonight. So if we kind of talk in generalities, I don't know if that'll be good enough for you. Hopefully you'll hear very specific things that we want to do and accomplish as mayor, and you can hold us to that standard. Thank you.
Next, Mr. Ferguson.
Well, good evening. And first of all, thanks to the organizers for putting this together. I know it was a lot of work. And equal thanks to all of you for coming, because the best voter is the voter who knows why they're voting. I've said it before to other groups, you're the employers, you're looking for an employee to fill a job. You're going to be looking down the list of the skills and their history of performance and saying, who's best suited to do this job? That's your responsibility. My responsibility, ideally, and I think I've fulfilled it, is to do that job to the best of my ability. I could list off things I've done, I could tell you my life story, but in 2 minutes we'll never get there. So I have a website, electferguson.com, you can find all that there. And I would say go there, read it, and you'll fill in all those blanks. I will point out a few things just as highlights. Probably best known for bringing the largest ever group of people to City Hall, but I wasn't on City Council at the time. And that was the gas drilling to keep it out of established neighborhoods and away from people in their houses, and put it in a location where it could operate successfully, but not be a problem for neighborhoods and especially for their survival. The other, probably more recently, Camelot Landfill, worked very hard on that, got the state to finally implement legislation saying that the city of Lewisville did have the authority to permit and control that landfill. But I'll give you one last one, and then you can see how the range goes. If you walk through Old Town today, if you walked 6 months ago and the light changed to green, the walk light changed at the same time. If you go down today, you'll get a walk light 3 seconds earlier. Why? So that traffic can see you in the street before they turn. I look at details, and then I get things done. Thank you.
Next, Ms. Cade.
Good evening, and thank you, Stephen, and the organizers for this. Audra, I know you were working hard on this. My name is Ronni Cade, and I'm running for place 2, Lewisville City Council. I've lived in Lewisville since January of 1971. Went to Central Elementary, was the middle of my 3rd grade year. I served Lewisville on the council as mayor and mayor pro tem back in the 90s. I can remember when this was dirt, had a couple of mobile homes on it, and right over there we used to play capture the flag and go camping. I'm running for the city council of Lewisville again because I have a passion for the city. I've just survived cancer, I beat it, I'm cancer free, and it was ready for me to get back to the passion of my life. This city, for my family, means everything. My daughter is 6th generation Lewisville. My children were 5th generation Lewisville High School alumni. So this isn't a position for me by any means. It's a passion and it's a love. And I've always served all the citizens of this city with my utmost respect and love for the city and what's best as the city as a whole. I'm the only one that lives in Old Town, and Old Town is near and dear to me. I spearheaded the effort, and we got it done when we refurbished the very first City Hall in Lewisville. It was a task that was well taken and well received, and it stands now redone like it was in its grander years at the very beginning of our incorporation, right in front of our new City Hall. And I'm very proud of that. It stands, it looks exactly like it did when it was on Route 66. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we begin the questions, I just want to make one more note. We may not get through all of these questions, and I know that the audience members are going to have some questions of these candidates. Hopefully some of them will be able to stick around afterwards, maybe hang around the stage or sit with you if you have any questions that we don't cover. And I think most of them have websites or, you know, on Facebook, so feel free to hit them up, and also, you know, check out Lewisville Texan Journal later and we'll have more in-depth questions. That said, let me jump into the first question here. We are at the mall tonight, and it's fitting. I think you know, Lewisville has had some challenges in terms of retail turnover and that sort of thing, and this mall is one place that was not doing so well not too long ago, and it's since been taken over. I kind of want to know, you know, what you guys think the role of the city is with regards to, you know, bringing in the kinds of retailers and restaurants and entertainment venues that the citizens would like. And if you think the city has a role in that, then what do you think that you can actually do on council to get the kinds of choices that citizens want and will support in our city? So with that said, we're going to do the round robin thing, and it will be Winston Edmondson's turn to answer first, and then we'll go back around to Rudy Durham. Thank you.
When most people think about the relationship to the city council and retail partners, all they think about are these vacant buildings. You know, it doesn't look good, but really there's a lot more to it. Here in Lewisville, our retail partners, and I call them partners because we really do need to partner with them. They're vital to our interest because we need that sales tax revenue. So as unsightly as you might think it is when you pass a vacant building, it's doubly bad because we're not making any money. We're not making any sales tax revenue. So that's something we definitely need to address. What can the city do to get involved? Well, the mayor can lend himself to the economic development team. And we do have folks on staff that go out and try to bring interesting businesses to Lewisville. But how much more effective could they be if the mayor was available to them? If the mayor was willing to go out on sales calls? If the mayor really took an active interest in that? You know, I visited with the folks here at the mall and said I would love to have more of a partnership at the mall. Perhaps even an office here that we could do various things. And they were open to that. So when you speak with some of the retail partners in Lewisville, they are open to working with the city and having a more, again, a partnership. So as mayor, I want to be a true partner to our retail partners, the ones that are here, and helping to let citizens know some of the unique gems that we have here in Lewisville that maybe some folks don't know about, but also in acquiring new businesses for the city. Thank you.
Next, Mr. Ferguson.
So the question was about the role of the city in retail, restaurant, entertainment, etc. So the first comment I would leave you with is that of all the people sitting here, I'm the one person that's actually worked professionally in retail site analysis. I did it globally. I was in senior management. I understand the process from the backside quite well. I know exactly how retailers and developers go about deciding where to locate, why to locate. And the essential for the city is to set the stage. That's what the council as a group, as a whole, has to do, is set the stage. And the stage itself is making sure that we have a good outreach program to make opportunities known. What does the city have to offer? What is the economic environment of the city? What have we been accomplishing? Where are we going next? What is our mission? It's also keeping our economic development group busy, looking for opportunities, answering questions, keeping information out in the eye of those who can bring retail to the city. It's our permitting process, making sure that we don't leave the image with developers and retailers that we're a difficult city to work with. We want these people to understand that we welcome them, we'll work with them, we will at times jump hoops for them, but we're here to make the process as easy as possible. And then finally, we are here to create all of the amenities that a lot of larger businesses in particular are looking for, which in turn bring jobs to the community. And those amenities range from things like having this mall to the arts scene, to public parks, library. So all of these pieces come together to create the environment that retailers are seeking, and especially large companies are seeking for their employees to enjoy, and also as a measure of the type of community that our citizens live in.
Thank you very much. Ms. Cade?
It's vitally important that City Council takes the role in bringing the right type of businesses here, not just businesses. Any city can get any kind of business, but it's getting the right quality of business, the business that's going to be long-term sustainable and not just short-term fleeting. A stable business tax rate is extremely important, and as Neil said, amenities are very important. But also what's important is listening to your citizens when there is a vital need and seeking out that type of business to fix that need, to bring a solution for that need. A couple of years, about 3 years ago, I was talking about a grocery store in Old Town. We have none. We are sitting in a food desert, and if you do not know what a food desert is, please Google it, because Old Town is a food desert. And I was told that the demographics weren't good. Well, I was one of those demographics, and I'm sorry, but I'm good. And so, if you're going for big box and the right demographics, so I took it upon myself to go out and beat the street and meet with Eric and meet with Nika to get an idea of what I can go forth with incentive-wise to get an investor to invest in Old Town. And we're getting one. 170 Main Street. There will be a fresh market. It's not going to be a big box. It's going to be an old-fashioned grocery store. And it's going to have staples. It's going to have what's needed there. It's not going to have 5,000 varieties. Nobody was pushing that cart. I picked it up and pushed it myself. And that's what we need to do. And I have a history of doing it. I don't like status quo. If it needs to get done, action's going to happen.
Thank you very much. And back to you, Mayor Durham.
We have to remember that malls all over the country are in trouble. Before Music City Group came in and bought this, there were numerous people that were coming in and talking about tearing down most of the mall, leaving the anchors at some point dealing with them about just becoming land again. We were lucky that Music City Mall decided to come in and do what they've done. They've got challenges ahead of them. The city will be a partner with them, but we're not going to be an investment partner. We're not going to do the leasing of the property. We will encourage people to come in. We will try to work with the mall operators to get the right mix. If there's something the city can do, but the city is limited on what they can do. They can provide incentives through TIFs and other things, but it's very difficult when the whole market is changing. The landscape of retail is changing, and it's going to take some innovation to come in with the mall. And I hope that the mall people, I'm pretty sure they're looking at everything they can think of. This is a unique property. It's a unique, going to be a unique activity with the Music City part of it, and I hope it all works. But the city will work with the mall, as long as with other groups that come in. We've got things like this all over the area. Grocery stores are closing because the market has changed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, candidates. The next thing I want to ask about relates to just kind of the openness of our city, not just in terms of, citizens approaching their government, for information and what have you, This relates to the city feeding out information, reaching out to residents, reaching out to underserved populations, or, you know, and kind of inviting people into the fold to participate in city activities and that sort of thing. So I just kind of want to ask, you know, do you think our city is open? If not, you know, what needs to change? What are we doing right? Up to you. Tell us what you think, and we'll start with you, Mr. Ferguson.
So there's a lot of layers to this onion. Are we doing things right? You could argue if we were doing everything right, then you wouldn't be asking the question. So obviously there's always something more you can do or something you can improve on. At the same time, we're living in a society today that doesn't look anything like it did 20 years ago, certainly 50 or 100 years ago. A lot of people are dual income families. They come home, they lock their door, they turn on their TV, they turn on the air conditioner, it's probably already on, and they don't come back outside. So it's tough enough to get people engaged with even their next door neighbor, much less with a group of neighbors, much less with the whole city. It's a tough problem. I think we've tried to find as many creative avenues as we've been able to think of to bring community together and to get people to know each other and get to know their representatives and get to know their city government. I think you see that in when you go to summer concerts or when you go to festivals. Those are certainly geared in part towards that purpose. I think as far as electronic media, it's a little bit of a problem. You can lead a horse in the water, but you can't make it think. And so we can put material out there, and I see this when there's discussions with transparency. You can put tons of material out there, but does that mean people will find it? So one concern I've had since the day I was on council, and they heard this prior to the day I was on council, is getting our message out there, getting our brand out there, getting people to know who we are and what we have. I think that's always going to be a challenge. But if we keep working, I think we're going in the right direction.
This is a very interesting question, and it does have a lot of layers. When I was on council in the mid-90s, the wide world web was just... Unfortunately, we live in a society today, and when I was chairman of the Denton County Substance Abuse Coalition, I used to talk about the biggest drug of choice for United States of American citizens was apathy. And so it is getting out there and trying to be apathy, because generally the citizens don't care sometimes until it's something that it affects them directly. So with Facebook, with the internet, with all the various forms of multimedia out there and the internet and such, it's getting better. Are we ever going to be perfect? No. And with each suggestion it needs to be researched, and we need to go forth with it. I think one of the best things that happened was everyone signing up that can get the alerts. You can get the alerts on your phone. That has only been in the last couple of years, and that is awesome. That's a project. All of these projects that we have built up to, we talked about in the mid-90s when we first sat down and started the 2010 plan. And the 2025 plan is built on the foundation of the 2010 plan.
Mayor Durham.
Neil brought up the festivals and all, and
If you could hold the mic a little closer.
shoot into it, and we'll find out. The festivals, the Colorpalooza type things that we have, the whatever was for that Chalk This Way, Western Days, the rodeo, we're going to try to work more with those kind of deals. We've tried them in the past, and quite often we had great ideas, and the problem was we got rained out. So you have to go another year, and when you get rained out, it sort of takes the steam off of things about working. I will give you one. A citizen a few years ago came to the council, and was upset that there wasn't enough public involvement. And they had a great idea. It was make a whole lot of bad decisions. And I guarantee, this person did say that you make a whole lot of bad decisions and you'll force people to come down here and scream about stuff and they'll get involved. And you start thinking, that'll be for the next 2 or 3 councils after the current one to come in when you do stuff like that. But that was a deal. But we are working on a lot of different things. Sometimes the things we're working on work out, other times they don't. But the city is trying on a bunch of different levels. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Edmondson.
There are so many things that the city can do to be more open. As mayor, one of the things I want to do is make myself available to the people. Right now, if you have an issue and you want to speak to the mayor, maybe you give a call or send an email, most likely he'll put you in touch with someone on city staff that might be able to help you. As mayor, I want to have open office hours where folks can come down if they have an idea or a concern and visit with the mayor. To me, one of the greatest things about Lewisville is we are a big city, but we have that old town, that small town feel. As mayor, I can kind of help reestablish that by being a mayor that's available to the people. Also, right now, if you want to serve on a board, what do? You look online, you look at all the various boards and commissions, and you let them know that you want to serve on one. But you can't serve until an opening becomes available. And then you have to be nominated by one of the council members. So I know folks that have been waiting for years sometimes to be able to serve. As mayor, what I want to do is create a number of open commissions that anyone can serve if they want to. I'd like to have an open direct initiative commission where as a group of citizens we can hear from folks that want to change laws. You know, on the city charter we have this neat little option where you as citizens can make laws. I want to create a commission that can kind of hear citizens and listen to what they would want to do and vote on that. As mayor, if the commission says this is an initiative that we want to go forward with, then I can put that on the agenda. We can talk about it on the council. I also want to do a number of town hall meetings here at the mall to help folks feel like they can really get plugged in and serve if they want to. So yeah, we are doing some things right, but as a city and as this position, the mayor, there's so much more we can do to make citizens feel like they're wanted, their services is wanted.
Thank you very much. Okay. So this next one, we see a lot on Facebook. We see citizens complain, and the complaints kind of go like this. My neighbor has a bunch of junk in their yard, and I never can get code enforcement to come out there and make them clean it up. And then the other complaint you hear is, code enforcement breathes down my neck. If my grass gets too high, they're just right on me. Or another one goes like this, okay? I want to start a business in this city, and I want to move into Old Town, but there's too many restrictions down there. I can't open up the kind of business I want to open up. But then we also have others who say, man, we want to keep this area nice. We don't want just any old business coming in and putting any, metal building up or, auto repair shop or whatever. So there's kind of a balance here between, freedom to do what you want to do on your property versus the shared responsibility of, having a nice city and having things how we kind of collectively want them to be. So what I'd like to ask you about is your thoughts on, just do you like to be, do you lean more towards freedom or the shared responsibility? What are your thoughts on that? So that's, kind of an open-ended question. So we're going to start with you, Ms. Cade.
Well, that is an open-ended question. My thoughts on that first would be, as far as code enforcement goes, is your first level should be neighbor helping neighbor. Our church for years, in 2016, the city recognized it. We put a ministry together, a group together, and it was Faith in Action. And it dealt with code enforcement issues, and I was the liaison with the code enforcement department, and we would get a list of what needed to happen. But we took it one step further at Northview. We started doing it, the Faith in Action Committee, we started doing it all year long. So whenever there was really real stringent issues that are coming along and there was a senior or someone out of work or someone with a disability that didn't have the capability, whether it be financial or physical, they would call our group and we would step in and take care of it with them, not for them. And that is a big difference. I would love to see more of that happen. It's a real fine line. Back in the day, Flower Mound got hammered, and the developers didn't want to develop. It was difficult to develop. There was fights. There was lack of communication. They were non-bendable, non-flexible, and you have to be flexible in some ways, but you still have to hold your ground. Quality business is what will sustain Lewisville. So you have to be careful. Your zoning has to be right to have the type of businesses that you want that will continuously draw from the outside into our city.
Thank you, Ms. Cade. And Mayor Durham.
In most cases, you have to work out something in the middle. It usually make half the people mad on one side and the other half mad on the other side. But that's what you usually end up with, and it ends up being the best thing in the long run. If you're not careful, you'll come up with a situation like there's some people in the state legislature right now that, particularly in the Senate, are trying to push an idea of liberty cities. Just look that up. Liberty cities, there are no rules. There are no zoning deals, there are no speed limits, there are no police. Everybody deals with themselves. It's pretty much anarchy. But that's what some people, the extreme on one, deal with. Liberty cities, just look it up. It's amazing that people actually think that way. Now, they wouldn't allow that in their neighborhood while they're living in $500,000 houses or whatever. But you do have to come in with a middle ground on most of these things. As far as what the mall can do right now, they're going to have to work with what the mall can do and then come to the city asking for help, or if the city can give them any assistance. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Edmondson.
This is a great question. I lean towards the freedom side of things, but I will say this: when I speak to citizens that raise some of the concerns that you mentioned, I find that it's not just that they're angry about any particular ordinance. What I find is that they are upset at the lack of transparency, and they're upset at ordinances that aren't enforced equally. So, as mayor, one of the things I want to do is make sure that we strive for transparency. If there's a citizen that has an issue with a particular ordinance and comes to me and asks, okay, you're saying that the city tells me I can have a shed that has to be this, these dimensions. Why is that? I've got this plan for a really nice shed that's a little bit bigger, and you're telling me I have to spend $300 to hope for a variance. Tell me what is the situation? And in my experience, citizens will, if you have a reasonable explanation, they'll be okay with it. Citizens are okay with hearing no, as long as they know why. They don't want just to say no because that's the way we've always done it. That's the way it's done here in Lewisville. Get used to it. No, they want to know why. And as mayor, I want to help discover the why. And if there is no why, I want to bring it back before the council and let's have a discussion. Let's re-examine it if we need to. And also on making sure that we enforce things equally. If I get reports that some areas get code enforcement will come out and deal with them very harshly, and other areas kind of get off scot-free, then I want to investigate that. Because again, people aren't so upset with the enforcement of laws. They are usually upset because they feel like they're getting picked on or it's not fair. So transparency and making sure that we enforce the laws equally is a big aspect of what I'll bring to the table as mayor.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Ferguson.
Before I get to the point, I'm going to say this. How many have been told by me or the city council of the city, it's the way it is, get used to it? Raise your hand. Yeah, I've never heard that either. So I'm sorry, but I beg to differ. In a perfect city, there would be no government. Seriously. In a perfect city, there would be no government. You wouldn't need it. Everyone would do everything that should be done the way it should be done. They'd be courteous to their neighbor. They'd think about the guy next door before they think about their own selfish needs. You wouldn't need government, except that there are some things, let's be honest, citizens really can't do, like set up a water plant, treatment plant, or a sewer plant, or build a library, or there's a few things that the city is really necessary for. And obviously, police and fire kind of top that list. But for the most part, the biggest issues are often a balance. It's the trade-off between your freedom and the freedom of the person next door. Me personally, if you want to know where I stand, I'd rather have less government. I'm not a big government person. I don't like lots of rules. On the other side of that coin, I need to look out for the impact you're going to have on the guy who lives next door and the impact of the guy next door to you. And that's a concern I've always got to keep in mind. So, and I'd also point something else out. If you're not happy with something, go to the Zoning Board of Adjustments. Tell them what you want. They have final authority. They don't even go to the council. They will tell you yes or no. It's a citizens group. You don't like it, go to them, see what they say. If they don't like it, they'll say no. If they like it, they'll say yes.
Thank you very much. All right. So the next question relates to the Vision 2025 plan. That is sort of the broad vision that a citizens committee had worked on several years ago and worked out with the council and city staff. And it's kind of a wide-ranging plan full of big moves that the city would like to accomplish and before 2025, which is our 100th anniversary. 2025 contains a number of very ambitious projects, some of them very expensive. What I'd like to ask you candidates about is kind of how do you feel about the velocity of what we're doing for 2025? Are we moving quickly enough? Not quickly enough? Too fast? Are we tackling the right projects first? And you know, feel free if you want to give an example of a project you really support or you don't like, just jump right in there. And so we will start this question with Mayor Durham.
Well, the 2025 plan isn't something that's set in stone, and it's just basically a guideline. If money keeps coming in, if we keep having a pretty good economy for the next 4 or 5 years, we might could get a bunch of it accomplished. If things happen in the next 6 months, something like 9/11 again, everything changes. That would change all of it. The money would change. And I'm assuming you're talking about the philosophy. I'm assuming you're talking about getting the projects done. Okay. But right now, things are moving in the right direction. It's going to take money, and it's going to take quite a bit of money. Some of it's going to have to be done with bonds, and we'd have to have approval of the voters. One of the biggest things that's coming up right now is the multi-generational center. It's a huge project. When it was bid out and when we put it in the budget, since then the things have changed quite a bit, and it's going to cost more money. That money doesn't grow on trees. We've got to come up with a way to do it. And you can't build a third of the center. You just try to work out something else and get the job done. It isn't all a free lunch out there, so we're just going to keep working as best as we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Edmondson.
So I want to say real quick, speaking of velocity, we are kind of cruising through these questions because we had two people that weren't able to make it. So my suggestion would be, I don't know if we can do this, but perhaps at the end we'll have time to actually take questions from the audience. So just a suggestion. As far as the velocity of our projects, I think a lot of folks feel like things aren't getting done, even though we are working on it. But the reason why they feel that way is they don't hear, in my opinion, from the leadership of the city. The face of the city is the mayor. He's the head of the city. So as mayor, I would want to be out there speaking with citizens. I'd want to be a present in the community on social media, talking with individuals about what we're doing, where we are, and just letting them know that the mayor is, involved right now. And in a lot of cities, you have mayors that aren't very involved. They're elected and then they kind of, fade into the background, and they do what they do at the city council meeting. But between each city council meeting, you never hear from them. As mayor, I want to be out there and let the folks know where we are, what we're doing, and kind of be, that role of the mayor that is visible and seen. So that's, there's not much we can do to speed a lot of this up, but we can do a better job and be more effective at communicating things to the people and letting them know what's going on.
Thank you very much. And you, Mr. Ferguson.
So in the last few weeks, how many got a 2025 report in your mailbox? Yeah, we send one out every year. I don't know if you read it all. It's pretty long. There's a lot of stuff in there. If your eyes glazed over, you're forgiven because it's a lot of stuff in there. But the very fact that your eyes glazed over told you there's a lot going on. I'm going to tell you, in the time I've been on council, I've watched us shift from a normal pace of business into hyperdrive to the extent, and you can question the other councilmen that are here, that on more than a few occasions, I've been concerned that we have our tasks pushing our staff beyond their capacity. And that worries me, because a staff that gets burned out is not a staff that's going to get things done. But I think we've struck the perfect balance between what we can do and what our staff is capable of producing. Unless, of course, you'd like to pay a lot more taxes and then we can hire a lot more people. I'm not really advocating that, but if you would, I'll talk to you, but that's not my game. I will tell you this too, if you look at the 2025 projects and look at the sheer diversity of them, a lot of cities develop long-range plans. It's a common practice. I go to 2 conferences every year, National League of Cities, Texas Municipal League, and I talk to a lot of cities, and I'll talk to them about their long-range plan, and they'll tell me, oh yeah, we have one. Well, what have you done with it? Well, not a lot, and it's common practice. You develop one, it goes on a shelf, it collects dust until the next one. This plan hit the road running. From day one, it has been in high gear. Every time we have a council meeting, you're going to hear 2025 repeatedly, because it is what drives everything we do.
Thank you very much. Ms. Cade.
How many here sit on the 2025 committee? Awesome. I had the honor of sitting on that too, along with Karen and Steve. We were actually in the same subcommittee. Lewisville is doing a great job moving forward on that. You have to be careful moving too fast, because something that is built on a weak foundation will not last. And 2025 is a very vigorous, adventurous plan. Lewisville, since the mid-90s on, has been acting with a goal in mind, a final goal in mind of what the city's going to look like at final build-out. And they've stayed on task. Lewisville is one of the leanest operating cities. I think with the cities of over 30,000 that North Texas area did a study on, Lewisville was what, number 3? The 3rd leanest cities. And for the projects and the quality of projects, you can build a house of cards and build a lot of them. But if you want a good, solid, quality project that's going to last for generations, it needs to be paced at the correct speed. And throwing something together is not good for any of us. There are so many projects in that 2025 list that is that have been almost completed, working on, in the beginning of being completed. So I'm proud of Lewisville. I'm proud. We all have everybody's worked on a master plan, a long-range plan. We called it the 2010 and the 2025. And it's good for Lewisville, it's good for the citizens, and the city's doing a great job.
Thank you very much. All right. Do we have anybody here from Castle Hills? I see Miss Timish, yes. All right, if you're from Castle Hills, bad news, you can't vote in this election. But in a few years, Castle Hills, as many of you know, will become a part of Lewisville. That's the plan. Lewisville owns a, what is it, a 5-foot wide strip around the entire boundary of Castle Hills. So it's sort of betrothed to Lewisville and will become a part of Lewisville. Now, it may not necessarily be an easy task because, as you know, Castle Hills has a little bit different demographics. It's physically separated from our city. It's across a river and 2 landfills from us. Its residents may prefer to shop in Carrollton or the Colony. It may be closer for them than, say, this mall. So, we're going to have to kind of join our 2 communities, hopefully into one cohesive community. What I'd like you guys to talk about briefly is, number one, do you support the annexation? I guess I don't want to take that for a given, but number 2, if and when it happens, how do we make it go smoothly? How do we make it so that they feel welcome, we feel welcome? We're one big happy Lewisville family like we are today. So I believe, let's see, this one goes to Winston.
All right, so 3 years ago when I ran for mayor, even though Castle Hills residents can't vote, I suggested that we have a candidate forum in Castle Hills for Castle Hills residents, and we did that. And the reason I did it is because I know that in the future they are going to be a part of the Lewisville family, and I feel like it is important to reach out and let them know that we want to know what their concerns are. We want to know what their questions are. So from back then all the way to today, I think just reaching out and letting them know that we are welcoming them in with open arms, that goes a long way. Lewisville citizens are just like I said, this is a big city, but it has that small city feel. We all are very welcoming, and so some of the events we put on, when you go out to Old Town and you hang out with your neighbors, you feel at home, you feel like you belong. And so as mayor, what I would want to do, even before the annexation happens, is reach out to Castle Hills and let them know what we're trying to do. Bring them into the fold, get them involved, because once you kind of cross that border 121 and go over into Lewisville, you will feel like you're at home. And so that's kind of what we have to do, just continually reach out and let them know that they are wanted. Yes, I do support it. There will be challenges, but yeah, I think Lewisville citizens will make them feel at home, and we'll get along.
Thank you very much. Mr. Ferguson.
So this question is pretty near and dear to me, and I feel sorry for the city council members who've heard all this before, because you've heard it all before. 2 years ago, sitting in a council retreat, I made the observation that I grew up in Oak Cliff, and today Oak Cliff and Dallas are still in us and them. And the separation between Oak Cliff and Dallas is the Trinity River and a very different demographic. Take a look at Castle Hills, take a look at Lewisville. What separates us? The Trinity River and a different demographic. If you think there's a parallel, you're right, there is. City Council retreat this year, we were allowed to pitch 2 items that we wanted to have addressed in the future. And my number 1 item was specifically what would happen as we merge these 2 together from a culture and a community perspective, not the technicalities of the water system or the parks or any of those things, but the people. And how do we join the 2 pieces of Lewisville into one? And there's a lot of open-ended questions that I threw out, because I won't sit here and tell you I know all the answers right now, But I made a statement there, and I made a note in my head to remember that statement, and it just popped out of me. I said, if you put two people in the same room long enough, they'll find out they have something in common. And the point is that the best way we will join these two cities together into one city, and they're virtually two cities right now, is to put us together doing things together. Whether it's KLB or city events or we swap back and forth summer concert, I don't know. I don't have all the answers. But I know if we don't get started on this problem now, as I said at the retreat, I can tell you the outcome. I've been there.
Thank you very much. Ms. Cade.
I'm very much for Castle Hills. Rudy and I and Bobby were on the council when we fought because there were other municipalities fighting for the right to annex. And we were the lucky ones to work with Chris Bright, Bub Bright, and the contract and the partnership it's written very, it's a very hard, detailed steps and stages and stuff. I think that Castle Hills, for a lot of them already think that they are Lewisville. And a lot of them were very surprised that they couldn't vote in the city of Lewisville. But Neil is right as far as bringing people together. Audra, the city of Lewisville META has already gone out there to have a meet and greet in a mixer, if you will, with some of the citizens of Castle Hills. There's a lot of citizens of Castle Hills that are already coming here to City Hall for the different festivals and festivities that are taking place. Lewisville's always been a very warm and welcoming city. Hugs are free on the street, and that's the way it's always been, and that's the way we would like to keep it. But yeah, there's going to have to be some dialogue. There's going to have to be reaching across the river, if you will. But I just, the vast difference, as he was talking about, between Oak Cliff today and Dallas, that's not Lewisville and Castle Hills. There may be a demographic difference as far as the size of the house, maybe how much the house, but they're all working people, and we're working people, and we have more in common than we have that's different.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor Durham.
Okay. As Ronni knows and Bobby, we started working on this in 1994. And it wasn't always pleasant with the banana strip that we got blocked out so we couldn't go through the road through Carrollton. Lawyers made a lot of money on that, and we got that worked out. Since then, it's been pretty good. But the biggest thing that's going to happen on this, and when the annexation will occur, is when the debt levy gets down low enough that the city of Lewisville can absorb it, and it won't be a burden on the citizens that are already in Lewisville. That's what it's coming down to. And in a lot of cases, the citizens in Castle Hills will have their property taxes for their city or water district reduced in half. That's the huge deal about this, and that's what it's been since the beginning that we were working on this. I am in favor. This is all going to come down to money. 50,000+ students. Quite a few of the campuses are open from 7 o'clock in the morning with students there till 8:30 at night, some nights of the week anyway, and sometimes 6 days a week. If you figured, the last time I checked at City of Lewisville when we were hiring police officers, we were looking somewhere between $75,000 and $80,000, probably that's on the low side, for an officer, their hard and their soft cost, and you can't have a campus of 2,000 people with one officer on duty. There would have to be more than that. when the cities look at it, for every one officer on patrol, it takes 4 other people, 4 other officers to make it up. So for every one officer you hire, there has to be 5, because they work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. You got to figure holidays and vacations, sick, and everything into it. So it's not going to be an easy deal, and it's very expensive. Lewisville ISD has, I believe, 69 campuses. So if you just had, I don't know, 3 officers in every deal, and if you look at Parkland in Florida, they were having 9 sheriff's deputies at the doors of the building. That didn't include any of the other things going on in the building, and that was just at one time. And they probably had to have 3 shifts a day. Thank you.
Thank you. And for you, Mr. Edmondson.
This is probably the most important question you've asked today. You know, they say hindsight is 20/20, but for those of you that are parents, is that good enough? If there is a tragedy in one of our schools, is it okay if we say, you know what, hindsight's 20/20, now we know? No, that's not acceptable. We have to do better. We have to do a better job of protecting our children. How do we do that? We need more officers in at least the Lewisville schools. You're right, it is the Lewisville Independent School District, but I can guarantee if our city and the police department offer more school resource officers, they will absolutely take them. How do we do that? We need more police officers on the force. When I speak with Lewisville police officers and I ask, what are the tools that you need to do a better job or to make your job safer? They say, we don't need any tools, we need more police officers. And so I looked it up. I compared Lewisville with a number of cities. And for 5 cities that are generally about the same size as us, a little bit smaller actually, we fall far below in the number of police officers on staff. In fact, the national average for cities of our size is 1.9 police officers for every 1,000 residents. For a city the size of Lewisville, that would put us right at 200 police officers. Lewisville only has 158 police officers, so we have to have more officers. How do we do that? Well, I would love to hear from the other candidates if they think we need to hire more officers. But yeah, we need to look at how we can fund more full-time police officers. But in the meantime, what I want to do as mayor is launch the Lewisville Police Reserve Force. We have a lot of retired police officers in our community that are more than willing to come out and help serve, but they're not able to. Lewisville doesn't have a reserve force. As mayor, that's one of the things I want to establish, to immediately put more officers on the street. And then we need to look at how we can fund to hire more full-time officers so we can put more officers in our schools and send some of the resource officers to the elementary schools as well.
Thank you very much. We are not going to be able to get to all of the questions. I was going to cut this off at about 8:08, but since some of our candidates are missing, I think we will have time for one more question. What I want to ask you about relates to levels of taxation and also our yearly budget, our taxing and our spending. And this is also going to be a very open-ended, I guess, you know, where do you think we stand in relation to other cities and in relation to where we should be? Are we taxing too much, not enough? You know, where do we stand, and if you would do anything different? And I guess this one goes to Ms. Cade.
As it relates to, I tell you what, my voice usually really carries without this mic. Ask my kids. As it relates to other cities, I think that we're like pretty much kind of in the median of things. Lewis has been known to keep things lean, and that way we keep the burden off of higher taxes off the citizens. With the growth rate of our commercial and business, and as everybody knows, because you're about to get your thing from the appraisal district, the rise in our, Rudy shaking his head, the astronomical rise in our property value, it has helped Lewisville over the last several years keep from drastically raising taxes, but going with an effective rate. The rate is 0.436 some odd right now. And it's got a pretty, a good budget to get things done, but it doesn't have a astronomical budget to where they're just throwing money at things. It's always been put together quite well. Lewisville's always won top honors in the nation on their budget process. And it continues to do so and has for the last 20 years. It would be nice to have more citizen involvement when it comes to budget issues, and it would be wonderful to have the citizens understand what your M&O is versus your general fund versus the taxes you get from the hotel motel tax, and where things can be spent and where they can't be spent. I think that it would help a lot to do that type of education. Our sewer rates are the lowest amongst all of our comparable cities. So that is absolutely wonderful, and you can pat the city on the back for that. And thank God we're not facing the water crisis like Ponder and Plano and stuff is right now.
Thank you very much. And back to you, Mayor Durham.
Thank you. Just to let you know, appraisal district notices will be going out. The first batch will go out April the 18th. The appraisal district values 465,000 accounts a year. So, and we do that all within 75 days. So that it's going to be coming out. As far as the tax rate, City of Lewisville is on the low end as a tax rate. Denton County is on the low end of the tax rate. Now, I will say, I got to say this against the county a little bit. They count the other counties that have hospital districts and college districts, and that does change it. Lewisville doesn't have that, and Denton County doesn't have that. So it is something to think about on those. There are some cities that the tax rate is dramatically less, but they offer less. That's when you have the two-person police department and they quit one night because they got mad at each other. So that's what you end up with that. The other side of it is if you go to the Planos, the Carrolltons, their rates are going to be 25 to 30% more than Lewisville is. Their values are similar per person, but the citizens demand more. So that's something we got to look at on that. But I think the rates are in line. The values will keep going up for the short term. At some point, the market has to go back down, and it will not be pretty when that happens. If the market does go down, when it does go down, lots of things will shut down. The buildings will quit going. We've got to remember the biggest project we had going was one of the biggest projects in the country, I-35E.
Mr. Edmondson.
So we get about a third of our revenue from property taxes, a third from sales tax, and a third from fees and service, fees from the city. So what that means is if we don't do something about our retail partners, if we don't jump in and try to help out, what's going to happen? Either we're not going to have, we're going to have to raise property taxes to make the difference, or we're going to have to reduce what the city can offer because of that loss of income. So, in my opinion, this question really is about what are we going to do to help our retail partners? And it's true, Amazon.com and a lot of these online retailers are hurting the retail business. It's difficult to compete. So as mayor, I want to go out and try to bring some unique businesses to Lewisville that won't necessarily have to compete with people like Amazon. So for example, tomorrow morning I'm meeting with a gentleman who wants to bring a basketball facility here to Vista Ridge Mall. Things like that where you come into the mall and you have basketball tournaments all day. These are folks that are spending to get in, spending money once they're in the mall. They're spending money. That's what we need, that sales tax revenue. What if we had a University of Texas at Dallas satellite campus here on the other end of the mall, and students could come to Lewisville and take classes, and our Lewisville high school students could take classes so they actually graduate with an associate's degree. There are areas that have done things like that. Lewisville can do those things too. As mayor, I want to go out and try to bring some of those partnerships to Lewisville. We have to focus on reinvigorating the retail space with unique businesses that don't necessarily compete with Amazon, or else we will end up having to raise property taxes.
Thank you. Mr. Ferguson.
So I'll start with a couple of interesting notes. First of all, council worked pretty hard to attract a company that was looking all over the U.S. on where to move, Bed Bath & Beyond. They located here, opened up 700 new jobs in the process, and in the first year, their sales tax revenue exceeded the mall's best year. So retail doesn't always look like what you think retail looks like. And in this day and age, if you're not balancing storefront retail against online retail, you're missing part of the market, and that would be a mistake. Storefront retail, very important. Definitely hate to see unoccupied spaces, empty buildings, strip centers that are vacant. It's bad news. Are we finding ways to fix that problem? Take a look at the shopping center, Lewisville West, I think it's called it, 35 in Fox, and look at what happened there. Not a penny of city money was spent in that turnaround. It was the economic development process that turned that center around. Fully leased out now. Rates are up there. Business personal property collections are up. It's not about finding one business. It's about the whole process. That's what I tried to tell you earlier. In retail, it's about setting the stage. It's about creating the environment that will bring the right people into the city. Would I like to have more money to play with? Would I like to have more property tax? Could we do more things? Would you do more things if you had a bigger paycheck? Sure. So could the city do more things if it had a bigger paycheck? Sure. I'm not sure you'd be real happy with that. It's ironic that most people get very confused when they get their tax bill because they keep calling it their city taxes. And I'm not deeming the school board, but let's be honest, guys. You guys are, 2.5 or 3? No, you're more than 3 times what we are, right? Yeah. So when you look at your bill, ask yourself, wait a minute, how much is city? Because it's not much. Winston mentioned the 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. We worked hard to keep that balance because it is our buffer against the unexpected. Things change. The economy changes. It goes up and down. This is our insurance.
Thank you very much. All right. That is all the questions that we're going to get to. We're going to give each candidate a minute apiece to wrap it up and just kind of say whatever they didn't get to, whatever questions we didn't get to, if they have something they want to pitch. And we are going to, I believe, we're going to start that with you, Mayor Durham. 1 minute to wrap it up.
While y'all are here, I would like to make an offer that if you have $4 billion, that the city and the state and the county would love for you to come talk to us so we can, I hate to say expand, start the construction on phase 2 of I-35E. Just phase 2, $4 billion, it'd be a good deal. You could get paid out over 52 years and probably make somewhere around 10% a year. It's the biggest deal we do have going is 35E. It was terrible when it was under construction. For the ones that drive it every day now, it's great. So, yeah, thank you. I'm asking for your vote to continue being the mayor. The 2025 plan, the more retail, more warehouses to compete with online, and we've got to keep remembering that Amazon, while it is a huge problem for the retail business, it's great for the other stuff, and if they happen to be coming to North Texas, be it Lewisville or in Denton County, it's going to be great for all of us.
Thank you very much. Mr. Edmondson.
Did you guys have fun tonight? I think we should do this more often. Town hall meetings here at the mall. This is a lot of fun. I like the looks we get from people walking by wondering what we're doing, but this should be a regular occurrence. I want to thank you all for coming. Pull up my website, electwinston.com. I am asking for your vote, and what I'm also asking for you is to go out and kind of take ownership of this election. You know, in Lewisville, we have a pitiful voter turnout. Typically about 2% of our voters get out and actually vote. So I need you guys to take ownership of this election. Go out and grab your friends and neighbors and tell them who you're voting for and convince them to do the same and take them with you, because we can do better than 2%. Again, I'm Winston Edmondson. I'm asking for your vote, and thanks for being here.
Thank you very much. Mr. Ferguson.
I have a little trouble getting up. I had a wonderful leg injury last November that's going to be a lasting memory. So first of all, thanks to everyone who helped put this together, and again, thanks to everyone who came. I said it earlier, the best voter is an informed voter, and that's why you're here. So my hat's off to you, and those of you who know me, I usually have a hat. I will tell you, I think I spent more time talking about the city in general than necessarily myself. I told you at the beginning, I've got a website, electferguson.com. You want to learn about me, it's there. You want to learn about what I've done, it's there. Go check it out. Your eyes will probably glaze over there too, but you know, a lot to see. I will tell you that I've always had three things that I said were my founding principles. One, respect the needs of all Lewisville citizens. I can't make everybody happy. You want something your neighbor wants, and he doesn't want you to have it, vice versa. But I will listen to everybody. I serve as a wise steward of taxpayer money, and I'm committed to transparency in government. The dashboard that you see, that was a big initiative proponent.
Thank you very much. Time is up. Ms. Cade.
Thank you, Stephen, for having, thank y'all for attending and being involved. I would like to say I had a conversation today about elections, and I love how civil and calm and how great this forum has been, and all the candidates that showed up has been. Thank you. And it's good to exchange ideas here when other candidates were talking. I'm a long-term resident. I have Lewisville in my heart. I said this is not a position for me, it's a passion. Lewisville's not a place to live, it's my home. It was my home. As far can go back, it's going to be the home of my family in the future. What happens here matters to me. I've always been one to serve, regardless of whether I was elected or not. I believe in a feet on the ground, getting things done. If a citizen has ever had an issue, they know that they have always been able to call me, regardless of whether I was on the council or not, and I was always there to help, and I will continue to do that. Elected positions are not a position of power.
Thank you
They're
very
a position
much.
of service.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Steve Southwell with the Lewisville Texan Journal. I thank you so much. Again, thanks to Music City Mall. Thank you to all of these candidates for coming out and spending their time to tell you about their thoughts and plans for Lewisville. Let's give them all a round of applause. All right. So we are going to, let's see, I want to let you know that the deadline to register to vote for this is April 5th. You can request a ballot by mail up until April 24th. Early voting is April 23rd through May 1st. And Election Day is May 5th. On that day, you can vote from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And we hope that you will read the Lewisville Texan Journal. We'll get some updates up there very soon. We hope to have personal interviews with each of these candidates and post on our website before the election. So with that said, we're going to respect your time and dismiss, but I think, you know, these candidates are welcome to stick around. The mall's open till 9, so if you have questions, feel free to hit them up and you know, get your questions answered. Thanks so much. Have a good night.